Hello and welcome to episode 196 of this week of Gear Report for the what is it? It's the 8th of February already, 2024. I got the year right this week. I had that messed up last week. So rapidly approaching the 200th episode. We're gonna have to think of something good. If you have any ideas for something cool that we can do for the 200th episode, please let us know. Hi, I'm Jeff. I'll be your tour guide this evening. And I am sad to report that I believe our typical co-host TJ is not going to make it this evening. He called in sick, so to speak. So if he shows up, great. If not, I'm not expecting him this evening. So lucky for me, we've got Colton from Weaponries here. And just a little bit of background about them. This is one of the bullpup people that I couldn't walk past at SHOT Show last year. And TJ tried to get me to, really, because he does not share the love of bullpups that I have. I don't think he dislikes them. He just doesn't. Uh, he experiences no sexual tension when he's exposed to a bullpup, which I think is frankly odd. But anyhow, so we saw some prototypes last year at SHOT. We saw some more polished products this year. And I can tell you that last year, this is a brand and a company and a set of prototypes and products that I heard lots of people talking about. So with that, Colton, I'm going to ask you to if you'd like to introduce yourself, if I missed anything there, and then we can dive into, tell me about the company and where this crazy idea came from and where you're going, and we'll just dive in.
Sounds good. Yeah, so my name's Colton. I started Weaponries right in the beginning of and kind of released it right at SHOT Show 2023. So we aimed to bring the most modular bullpup platform to the market that we could. We kind of piggybacked with the AR-15 system. It's a familiar system people know and respect. A lot of the manufacturers and parts that are already available, and we wanted to bring that into the bullpup world instead of changing to something completely foreign and something new. We wanted to bring
Sure.
something familiar to the platform. So kind of trying to make some strides with that and make bullpups a little more uh, recognized and familiar with the industry.
Sure. Sure. So, what is it about the bullpup uh, that got your attention and made you say, you know what, we're going to develop something completely new? It's worth the risk. What is it that drew you
Yeah,
in?
so for me, it's mainly mobility. Just being able to compress something down and bring it a little shorter on the back end, while still keeping your barrel length and velocity and kind of avoiding going into the SBR type category and staying
Sure.
more
Yeah.
just in a rifle category, but having a more compact package was what we were after.
Right. Right. Well, that's amazing. Those are the things I like too. So, um, yeah, pretty cool. I'm going to bring up a website here and, let's see, we'll drop the URL out here as well. So if anyone wants to visit in the chat, we've got the URL for the website, and let me put us. Let's see if I put us down here. That makes it a little bit bigger. So maybe we want to dive in and look at some of the things you have available. I see a bunch of. It looks like you've cherry picked parts from a bunch of your favorite brands here, except for this crazy looking one up here at the top. Let's dive in and have a look at that. Let's see. Get back to the right screen here. All right, Ted, tell me what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is the Psi chassis. So it's a bolt-on chassis that bolts in the original grip location on your AR-15 lower. It will move your trigger group 9 3/4 inches forward, and it interfaces with whatever trigger group you already have in the lower. So if you're a Geisley guy or
Hmm.
you like Rise Armament, whatever you want to use, we basically just mirror that forward and give it a farther forwarded trigger. And then it does attach to the handguard on the front via a mounting block and two more takedown pins. So in the end, you're available to still interchange your upper receivers or open your upper receiver group to get into the lower and service and oil and clean what you want to clean, just with four takedown pins instead of two. So it's still very familiar to the AR. It still feels like it when you're taking it apart and when you're shooting it. Um, Still piggybacking using all the same parts and same operating system.
Hmm. So you have you is it trying to think the bullpups I've used before, several of them have had like a trigger bar assembly that basically when you pull the forward trigger, it actuates the existing trigger that's in the rear.
Yep. Yeah, so that's essentially what our system is. Just the way we did it a little differently was it's an adjustable bar to be able to be set up to those multiple different aftermarket triggers that you want to use. We
Mm.
do use a very beefy, very thick trigger bar, so there's no flex in it to keep the bullpup trigger as best as we possibly can. We're adding under a pound to the trigger weight that you had in the rears, and basically what that
Huh,
is your we have a return spring there to avoid any accidental discharges if you rack it on the back or drop. It's just a
huh,
safety spring, so you add a little bit of weight with that. Otherwise, we're running in an acetyl delrin block that is a self-lubricating bushing, so you don't need to service
hmm.
it. It is a self-cleaning, self-lubricating bushing the way we machined it and made it. So usually you don't have to go into your kit. We've got upwards of 10 to 15,000 rounds through some of the kits without ever cleaning them, and still reading just under 3/4 of a pound actually on the added trigger weight to what's in the system.
Interesting. Yeah, okay. Well, that's pretty cool. So, I'm trying to think of what bullpups I'm familiar with. I don't recall seeing any others that I mean, am I correct that what I'm seeing here is we have the and I mean after you just explained it too, but we have a typical AR-15 lower receiver mated to a typical AR-15 upper,
Yep,
and then that's just contained in this housing that moves the trigger, the functional trigger and pistol grip forward. So you're
correct.
plugging the you're plugging the magazine into the original AR-15 lower receiver magwell.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
pretty
And the side
clever.
does actually induce and bring in little bit of a flared magwell into the system to help out
Right,
with
right.
magazine changes.
Mhm.
We do also forward the safety selector in the same position that it would have been in the back, so you do have a forwarded safety as well. And then we do have in the rear there is still the original AR-15 safety position there, and
Hmm.
we offer that and don't cover that up intentionally so that people who have a binary system or an SOTN running a full
Oh,
auto
yeah.
still can have a fire selection mode. We do offer
Interesting, yeah.
to block it off if you want to take that out, but the way it comes, we do leave that open for people who want to use it for such uses.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, you thought of a lot here, it looks like. Interesting. So, what was the biggest challenge that you faced from idea to bring the idea to market? Um, was there anything that, like, surprised you or just really stumped you for a while?
I'm trying to get everything down as far as there's so much on the market now that it's hard to there's no standard, as
Mm,
I should say. There's so many handguards on the market. There's so many different grips, and the floor plate on every grip is a little bit different. So sometimes it takes a
hmm,
longer screw, sometimes it takes a shorter screw. So there's
right,
just things just kind of getting it set up as far as what certain customers are using or what people are trying with it. That is the fun of it, is really trying to do something different with familiar parts.
right. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, you said an additional roughly 3/4 of a pound to additional pound added to the trigger pull weight. Was talk about the other weight, like the weight of this assembly, I guess that actually I could put it back on the screen here. Here we
Yeah, so
go.
the Psi assembly only weighs 12 ounces, so it only adds
Mhm.
12 ounces to your overall platform, so under a pound.
Okay, cool. And in the pictures that you were running here, it looks like a PDW buffer or something on the back of most of these. You're running like a Deadfoot MCS or something.
Yeah, and if you go to the build blog on the website, there'll be a few more
Mhm.
photos. The product photos are a
Okay.
little outdated now as we've released some new things. We're working on updating the site and keeping things as relevant as possible here. We're kind of doing a little bit of a site overhaul.
Right.
Um, but the in what we have currently, yeah, there was two right there on the bottom. Yep.
Uh-huh.
And what we have currently we offer systems for both the buffered and bufferless upper receivers, since there's the bufferless upper receivers are making a big push on the market.
Right.
And obviously they do make a lot of sense for a bullpup, so they are a very big piece for us. We offer a simple slide on butt plate that goes in the back. And on that one, there actually has a small piece of optics riser, just a 1 inch optics riser to get a little bit of extra length on
Huh.
it. But when we do the sickle stock, you only add 3/4 of an inch. So you can get the length of pull all the way down to 14.5 inches
Wow.
with that system. So that gets it in about a 1/4 inch shorter length of pull than the Tavor even.
Uh-huh.
Brings us in shorter than the Hellion and the Og and a lot of the other bullpups. So length of pull isn't an issue running the right stocks and kind of using some of the systems that we have.
Right.
As well as then we do have a shortened buffer system. So we partnered with Deadfoot Arms and have a fixed variant of their SCW that we offer on our side. That is a shortened bolt and the dual spring uh, buffer system. Just to shorten that up, and it gets you down to, even with a buffered upper receiver, you're getting down to a 2.5 inch stock. So you're still
Right.
getting a very short stock, shorter than the PDWs. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of them are 4 inches, and then this system gets you down to 2.5.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm actually working on I got to be careful what I say about this. YouTube gets so testy about fun stuff, right? Like if it's
Right.
something you want to do, they're probably going to want to smack you around for it. So I'm not going to show any images of the 3D printed AR that I'm working on right now, but it's a bufferless. Um, it's a pump action just so that it doesn't have to have a buffer, and it's using a truncated bolt carrier group that's
Okay.
actually even a
Yep.
little bit shorter than what Deadfoot uses. Um,
Okay. Yep.
so that's going to be interesting, but it's a heck of a challenge getting down to uh, anything shorter. Anything that has a truncated bolt carrier, I think, puts you in um, additional engineering challenge type territory. So, uh,
Yep.
I personally have loved the Deadfoot system for years. I was one of the first people to really embrace that system. The first shot show they came to was my first shot show, and we kind of hooked up and have had a really good relationship since then. And I frankly don't understand why I like the Law folder and other folders that can't be fired while folded. I don't understand uh, why they exist and why Deadfoot hadn't taken over, and transitioning that from just folding into their little SCW system is
Yep.
was kind of the natural evolution of that. And I personally think that was kind of the that's the best choice that I have seen for what you were trying to accomplish. So
Yep.
yeah, good choice.
Yeah, we're big fans of the system too. I've had very minimal issues. I've messed around with them trying to get some other cartridges to run through it that it's suggested, but beyond that, we've never had any issues with the systems that they offer. So
Right. Hmm.
yeah, and that one there was Picatinny stock from Maximum Defense. Those are from some
Yeah.
of the first builds we did as we were bringing the kit to life, and before we had developed our own.
Yeah, I thought that's what I was looking at there. We this program. Oh, I should probably put the banner up there. Um, Although I was just saying bad things about stocks you can't fire while folded, um, which kind of goes against our current sponsor, Sylvan Arms, has a really nice folder if you're into the kind that you can't fire while folded. But then our prior sponsor that we're hoping we're still going to do something with again this year was Maxim. So we've used a lot of their
Okay, yep.
stuff as well. They make phenomenal stuff. So
Yeah, we're actually very local to them, about 30 minutes, under 30 minutes away from
oh,
their
interesting.
headquarters. So
That's cool.
yeah, I know quite a few people over there. It's pretty
Yeah.
good people.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel for them and everything they've been through in the last year with the ATF trying to put them out of business. I think so.
Hmm.
Just through legislative reinterpretation. It was interesting that I was trying to explain to my wife a little bit about that right before the program, and she's like, "What do you mean they just changed, like something's legal, and they just said, "No, now it's not." It's like, yeah, it doesn't
Mhm.
make sense, does it? So that's what we have to deal with. So, have you had any legal concerns or issues that have come up in the development of this bullpup that you had to be aware of?
No, besides the overall length, getting used to the configure or constraints of overall length and figuring out how to manage that and come around
Mhm.
that, we haven't had too much of an issue.
Right. Cool. Okay, so last year at SHOT, if my memory is correct, last year at SHOT you had 3D printed prototypes, and I think right before the program you were telling me that about a month after SHOT you had some production stocks. So what kind of timeline did you have to deal with from conception to having those prototypes ready and then initial prototypes to actually having a production model available?
Yeah, so when I first came up with it, it was kind of I'd say the tail end of 21, and then over the first year, I kind of for some reason came to me, and over the first year, I just brought it to the engineers and had it drafted and kind of nitpicked how I wanted to get it from my head onto paper, and we kind of started prototyping and went through a design process and got things refined as we went, and a few prototypes changed some dimensions and maneuvered around a few restrictions that we came across, but it really did come together pretty quick for us. We were able to bring it in, and actually when we came to shot for 23, we had molds, injection molds already under the knife getting made. We were just waiting on that to come back. So
Wow.
we had kind of fired off a small 50 unit pre-order at that time, and I believe after shot we filled that and then kind of brought it into production right away. And I think right about the end of February we were shipping the first initial 50 units, and then it's been kind of spitballing and rolling from there.
Wow. So a year since you shipped your first units.
Yeah. Yep, we're
Okay.
coming up right on it. Yep.
So how's that been? Like bringing
It's
a new
been very good
product to
for us.
market, that sounds like a daunting challenge. So
Yeah,
what how'd
it's
that
been
go?
very good. We've made a really big point to be on customer service as much as we can and help out the people
Mhm.
who chose to believe in us and give us a chance on the beginning and really push that pretty hard and try to help out with as much as we can. And some people have bought it and tried to build some systems that I didn't even think about, that some of them
Mm,
work and some of them don't. That's the beauty of it, is that it's the
yeah.
next step for us. And in my eyes, I guess the next step of building AR-15s is kind of really trying to change up the platform with a different chassis and a different orientation of using it,
Hmm.
um, versus just a few different anodized parts or something of that nature. Just really try and do something new,
Sure.
which it ruffled some feathers for a lot of people. We definitely
Huh.
took our end on that one. We knew that was coming, but we got through that, and now we're kind of building some credit as we get some people reviewing it and get some good guys testing it and seeing that we're not joking around and we're here to stay. So
Sure.
it's been good. Definitely a lot of work and a lot of late nights, a lot of late hours, working every weekend. It never quits. But I grew up a farmer, so, and still dairy farm to this day. So it's no different to me. Being busy 7 days a week is just the name of the
Right,
game for
right.
me.
Yeah, that's just life, I guess. Um, yeah, so I think I touched on earlier that I know that my friend Dustin got one of these units, and he had been a little skeptical, I think, early on. I don't know if he was publicly skeptical or just in private he was skeptical. I maybe I'm saying things I wasn't supposed to say out loud here, but that's part of the reception that you got. While as
Mhm.
walking past the booth, it caught my eye, and I stood there for like a minute trying to figure out what I was looking at, and letting all the pieces fall together mentally. Um, and I think that what I saw is there were some people that weren't able to ever assemble the pieces mentally.
Yep.
And I think part of that is just an aversion to bullpups. Some people don't like
Right.
bullpups.
Right. And we
Those
even had it a
people are
couple times
crazy.
where, yeah, we had a couple times where guys would just walk by and we'd try and stop them and tell them about what we're doing. They're like, "No, I'm not interested in another bullpup shotgun," and just kept going. It's like, well, I didn't even get time to change your mind, or tell you
Yeah,
that that's
yeah.
not what it is.
Yeah.
which is
So
understandable. And bullpups aren't for everybody. You know, it's a different way of doing the same thing, and some people just aren't open to it. Which we're trying to
sure.
make believers as we go, and it's a slow process, but we're staying
Well,
on it.
working with the AR platform, it's so easily adaptable, and your average person with very little specific tools or skill set even can swap parts on your
Mhm.
typical AR. Like
Right.
the barrier to entry for, I don't want to say customizing ARs. I certainly don't want to suggest gunsmithing because I think that's a different level of work.
Right.
Precision fitting and manufacturing parts and things like that. I think are different than people buying new parts and swapping parts around. I mean, but talk about a platform that has a culture of buy something generic, do all kinds of crazy stuff to it to make it exactly the way you want it. Like that's baked into the AR culture.
Yep.
Um, and I suspect that probably helped you quite a bit. That um,
Yeah, yeah, and the big thing that has been helping us too is, a lot of people see it and then think it's a gimmick or don't
mm,
fully wrap their head around it at first because a lot of people are familiar with just very standard AR-15 components where
mhm,
there's two groups, the guys that are kind of just familiar with the standard side of it and the guys who are really deep into it, that even those guys at points to get really brand specific and won't try new things either, but which
mhm,
is understandable completely too. But we're
mhm.
really trying to just get our name out there and get some respect as time goes on, and
Sure,
it's a timely process which we understand, and um,
sure.
getting it around so people can see that it does function.
Yeah, and I've talked around it a couple times, but Top Shot Dustin, I think, well, he may have been a little skeptical up front. His conclusion seemed to be, as I recall, pretty enthusiastic and
Mhm.
supportive. Um,
Yeah,
so I thought that was pretty good because I have not shot one. I don't know. Did you have one at range day? Have you had one out at a range day yet?
no, no, we have
I
not.
didn't think I'd seen it anywhere. Like, I haven't had a chance to do anything but hold them in the booth both years there at SHOT Show, but, it seems to me like you're on the right path, and, aesthetically, it's different enough that I think you're gonna get a lot of people's attention, and as they see it and realize it's available, you'll get some traction with some people, and other people for purely aesthetic reasons, I'm sure will just be like, "Well,
Yeah,
no, that looks stupid." Well, you know what? I think what they do looks stupid sometimes. So,
right,
um,
right.
but
To each
I
their own.
I have been I find it very interesting. I love when anyone takes a different approach to achieving something, and, and I think that, well, I said something last year after SHOT Show when, people always ask, "Where's innovation?" Like, the typical, "There's no innovation in the industry. There's no innovation at show me something innovative at SHOT Show." And, last year, like, everyone wanted to talk about a lever gun. I'm like,
Hmm.
"Yes, an 1800s model lever gun that someone put a neat looking rail on. That's amazing
Hmm.
innovation. Let's talk about something." And I remember bringing up, your prototypes. Like, I mean, you wanna talk about innovation, talk about that. So yeah,
Yeah, we were swinging
I
for the
think you're on the right
fences as hard
track.
as we could. We got a
Yeah.
had a spot in the new product center, but a lot of the media for shot kind of stays on that first floor or that second floor. Sorry, stays up there, and not a lot of people are running around the basement. On the basement level of shot, there
Yeah.
is a lot of things going on that are new. It's shot is an expensive place to be, and not a lot of those
Yeah.
new products kind of get to where the spotlight really is. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a mix around. You kind of get the media that you do, and you take it and run with it.
Well, as someone who's been to a lot of SHOT Shows as media, I can tell you that, I figured out pretty quickly that the interesting stuff's in the basement, and
Hmm.
it's typically we call it the dungeon, you know?
Yep.
I've got a pretty, large group of people that we get together every shot. We'll all have breakfast together in the media room and then go, we each kinda split up and conquer. They're all part of the Gear Report family, although, many of them have their own publications. They also do things with Gear Report. Um, but the consensus among all the people that I hang with at SHOT Show among media is spend a day on the second floor, because you got to make the rounds. You got to talk to the brands and all the people that you know and keep those relationships alive. But if you want to see something innovative, you got to hit the basement. And I mean, honestly, the past few years, we haven't spent as much time in the military and LEO rooms. Spent a little bit more time over on the other side in the Caesars Forum, but that's a complete mix. You know,
Yeah.
there are some established brands, there are some new brands. There's no rhyme or reason to what you're going to find over there, but
Right.
the
Right.
dungeon, the basement, that tends to be where the innovation, the hungry brands, the people with crazy stuff that it's like you look at it sideways, like, what am I seeing here? You know, and we typically, the 4 days of the SHOT Show floor, we're going to spend two and a half of them in the dungeon, roaming around looking for cool stuff. So, and that's how we found you guys last year and reconnected again this year. So, um, you mentioned shop being expensive. Are you comfortable disclosing anything about what does it cost? Like, even whether you break it down or give like a big number, like for last year, for your first time bringing a new product to market, how big of a risk did you have to take to get that booth at SHOT Show?
Yeah, so debuting, it was a hard pill to swallow. It took us about 11 to 12,000 to get a,
Yeah,
between travel and hotel and then
sure.
the floor, and then you got
That's
to rent
actually better
carpet
than
and
I thought you were going
you
to
know,
say. So that's
yeah.
it's
Yeah, and
still a lot of
it's
money, but yeah.
yeah. And this year we're a little closer to 15 coming back, just as things have
Wow.
gone up, and it's a process, by the time you do all the, build the guns and get all
Mhm.
the arrangements sorted. And this year we actually had a pretty good story this year. Last year we had taken a Silverado down, just a half-ton truck, and all of the rest of our guys flew in. And this year
Mhm.
we were trying to save some money and bought a $1,500 van, Chevy Express van that had been converted to a camper off a Facebook marketplace. And we threw some money at it, and we drove that thing from Minnesota all the way to Vegas, about a 27, or
Wow.
no, we had about 27 hours on the road, and we made it all the way down. We broke down once in Colorado, and
Wow.
had to fix a coolant line on the side of the road. But the way home, we made it no problem. So a little bit of an
Wow.
adventure to go with it. So we're trying, kicking it off, having a good time where we're going.
Alright, you didn't sleep in the van, did you?
We did. We slept. I believe we slept 4 hours in a Walmart parking lot along the way on the way home. So
Wow. But during the week at SHOT, you had a place to
yeah,
stay.
during the week at shot, we had a hotel. Yeah,
Okay.
we were right
And
there at the what is it? The Desert Club Inn. It's right by the Venetian and Caesars there,
oh,
under the
okay.
next to the Sphere. Is real close.
Oh, cool. Oh, yeah, yeah, I know where you're talking about, I think.
Yep.
Um, I asked that because my crew, um they always give me a hard time. I'm notorious for not wanting to spend money on trips, and we've
Mhm.
stayed in some really janky places. And Gear Report, we do firearms, but we also do camping and military vehicles and um, 3D printing stuff. And I mean, we've got what, 6 or 7 different video channels and 60 or 70 different writers covering different submarkets. Like, we do a lot of things. And
Mhm.
as a part of that, a few years ago, acquired 27 of the big military command tents. I
Oh,
wanted
okay.
one, and I went in and bid on a couple auctions and ended up, like, put the dead minimum bid thinking I'm not going to get either one of these, and ended up winning both of them. I ended up with 27, and they were supposed to be the smallest size, and many of them, like three-fourths of them, turned out to be a much larger size. It was a nightmare. But so I've still got a couple of these really big tents. Like actually I probably got 4 of them, 5 of them maybe. Um, and every year they give me a hard time, like, hey, we know what you're going to do. We're going to show up. You're going to have a tent set up over beside the Sphere and expect everyone to stay there the whole time. And actually, this year we did an Airbnb. We were a little bit further away, but
Yep.
we were actually in a neighborhood where um, I'm not sure we heard a gunshot the whole time, which is amazing for us. Um, Didn't hear any hookers getting beat up either. That was also a nice change from prior years. So
I was gonna say, you
yeah,
sure you stayed in Las Vegas?
yeah, yeah. We were 20 minutes off the strip this year. It still wasn't a bad price though, but I
Hmm.
think we're going to try to get closer next time. So what else are you doing to promote? You mentioned getting some guns out there, shot show. Are you going like any kind of regional gun shows or any other things to get the word out about the brand?
Yeah, we do a few local shows. Nothing too crazy. We're looking at expanding and doing a few more shows throughout this year. The hard part is a lot of the shows we want to get to are invite only, which is a big thing in the
Mhm.
market. So they're kind of trying to figure out how to get on the radar for some of those and do that. Because there are some good ones coming up, mid year here that we'd like to do. But beyond that, we do an Instagram, Facebook, kind of trying to stay alive. And well, we're banned 6 times over on every platform, so that's just, I think, common for everybody now. But um, trying to get out on that, and then we do have a YouTube channel that we're going to be pursuing a lot more this year. We've been filming a lot of stuff in the background with the shot show guns, and as we were getting ready for shot, we've been doing a lot. So really going to try and hit hard on YouTube this year and see if we can't get a little farther with that. Um, as we've been established, and then we do have some just meeting people through some contacts after that show and stuff, meeting new people. I'll be doing a little bit of traveling around, being on a few people's channels and doing a few things this year as well, trying
Sure.
to promote a little bit. So
Yeah, so I already dropped the links to Instagram and Facebook out there. Here what the pages look like, so you know you're at the right one. When you get there, and lots and lots of different product pictures on there. That's pretty cool. Ton of different configurations. Um,
yeah, it's a big concern of ours just to really try and show a lot of different options, basically. So we kind of want it to be when somebody clicks the page and say they have an idea, well, it'll be really cool to bullpup this. Well, we try and run through and get as much together as we can and show really how modular it is and how many different things do fit it and can be indexed with it.
yeah.
Because in the end of the day, it is still a mil spec lower, so you can run. It is a multi-cal lower, so you can. We've got people doing from 458 SOCOM to 22 LR, 50 Beowulf, 65 Grendel.
Yeah.
Our most recent post, I built a kit with the 4.6 millimeter Banshee from CMMG, so a 4.6 by 30 in a little SBR or configuration. So just really kind of show that you can do some wild things and do some interesting things. A really popular one is doing like a 300 black. Got a lot of guys that are liking doing that and
Oh
shortening it up
yeah.
with a suppressor.
Yeah.
Nice, compact, tight little guns. So
Yeah, that does sound pretty cool. Um, and yeah, there's that little one in the middle there. What's this guy that you're holding here on the, I guess it would be left of the right of the picture, whatever.
yeah, that one they have the PSA Jackal in a system there that we have.
Jackal. I thought that looked familiar.
Yeah, we had brought two SBRs to the show this year to show off, which was the 4.6 by 30 Banshee, and
Hmm.
then we had a 13.5 inch PSA Jackal.
Got it. Yeah, I should have recognized that. We saw prototypes of that. Oh man, you're losing credibility here. The most willfully unsafe media person in the country. Um, yeah, be honest with you. That guy, anytime he's around and there's guns around, I'm like, all right, I'm out because I don't want to die. And he is crazy unsafe on purpose. But enough about that. Oh, I was talking about the Jackal. Yeah, I did was it 2018 or 2019? Caleb, my hunting editor, and I, we went and did a tour of all the different Palmetto facilities. And in their engineering office, we saw the initial drawings and where they were actually working on some very early prototypes of the Jackal.
Oh,
Um,
awesome.
and then we were some of the first people to shoot the Jackal when they brought it out at their the Gathering event a few years ago as well. Was it 2020, 2021? I can't remember. Anyhow, yeah, I feel bad. I should have known more about that one because we have been around it so much. Yeah, you got a lot of cool options there showing, long, shorts, and everything in between. So, what's the future look like for you? What are you are you focused on this platform? Are you focused on do you have some other variations or other products that you're working on?
Yeah, so with last year, we really tried to bring the product out. And now we're really trying to, with the first part of this year, we're really trying to bring supporting products in. So we're bringing in a few more bufferless options, a few more bufferless stock
Mm.
options, I should say. A few things more cost effective because our bufferless stock plate is a machined aluminum stock plate. And then we're going to bring another variant of that in because we have a curved one now, and then we're going to bring in a flat one, as well as then we'll have both of those variants available in a MJF 3D printed version as well to try and cut some costs for people that don't want to drop the $95 to get that, and kind of try and wrap the system up a little bit there, as well as we've got some rail systems coming in, optics rail systems,
Mhm.
that lock the handguard and upper receiver together so you get a better retention of zero on your forwarded optic. And we'll be having those in a half inch and an inch and a half, so it'll give a carry handle to the system as well. Um, with that, and then a few forwarded grip angle pieces, and then we do have a new set of frames coming out for the size. So it'll be a little more of an aggressive set of frames. Um, Not such a smoothed out look. It'll be a little more minimalist, a little more edgy, just to bring that in for the people who do want that little bit edgier of a look.
Hmm.
We have that coming. But our primary focus, which has been asked for, I couldn't even count if I had to, is the 308 version. So we'll be bringing an AR-10
Interesting.
version of the Psy for AR-10 platforms. So just working through the design phase, trying to fit as many as possible because there's not a mil spec that's commonly used
Right.
for AR-10 lowers. So we're really trying to fit the system and refine the system around as many lowers as possible, so that we don't
Huh.
release it and somebody gets left out. We're trying to fit as much in there as we can.
Sure.
Um, Now instead of later. So we're just experimenting, still playing, and working on the tooling for that.
Right. Well, that's interesting. All right. What have I not asked you about? Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we hadn't wandered into already?
Um, I don't know. I think we covered pretty good chunk of it.
Good, good. Well, I like what you're doing. I think you had a pretty cool idea. The execution is it's neat. I get that aesthetically it's not what everyone's used to seeing, um, and there are people who don't get the whole bullpup idea. I mean,
Yep.
if you think you have a challenge, I had for a while a Mosin Nagant bullpup. And, I mean, you think people give you a hard time with a semi-auto bullpup, you should have
Yeah.
seen some of the comments I got about a bolt action bullpup.
Yeah. And then fast forward now, there's Desert Tech in the mix. So,
Yeah, yeah,
and then those are pretty popular nowadays.
yeah. Yeah, well, I think more people, uh, call the ATF shifts the market around definitely, and the more hassle they put on people for lengths of guns, the, more opportunities it gives people to get creative for other ways to make more compact passage packages that are still in compliance with the with the law and the rules, which I do separate those. The law
Yep.
from the rules as they choose to interpret them sometimes. Um, Anyhow, if there's any kind of silver lining to the ATF being douchebags who keep changing things. They've changed them in ways that may help you a little bit with by making bull pups a little bit more desirable.
Hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. We a big part of what really kicked us into popularity in the beginning was when they banned pistol braces and stuff, and people were looking for a different way around and something to stay legal without having to come under scrutiny or deal with the negative effects of everything. They wanted to do something more permanent and long lasting, and then we were kind of just coming into the market. And actually, we didn't. Well, they released that news 2 days prior to Shot Show last year,
Right.
so we
Yep.
were right on the spot, already being developed, and it just happened to kind of fall into our lap with that. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. Well, I think with that, let me see. Is there anything else from a Gear Report side that I need to talk about? Um, we did not publish anything. Typical things that we do during this program, we're going to talk about upcoming reviews, recently published reviews. In the post-shot show mess, we actually haven't published anything since our Gear of the Year awards that went out right before SHOT Show. So we should be getting back to that here shortly. And I do want to remind everyone, let me pull this one over there to the other screen, and we'll get back to, because of the challenges we've had with incompetence at YouTube and not being able to interpret their own rules. You'd almost think YouTube is a government agency, right? The way they act. We have spawned a bunch of our channels over on Rumble. So I'd remind people, keep an eye over there, especially if you like 3D printed guns and things that we're not allowed to really show and give too much detail about on the YouTube side. Between the Gear Report Firearms channel and the Gear Report Maker channel on Rumble, you will see the full build progress of a couple different I've got 5 different 3D printed guns in process right now. And we're working with a few different companies to move these forward. Ghostguns.com and Middleton Made and 3D Arms a bit, and so we KAK I think is gonna. I think they're coming on board to help out with sourcing some parts for some of those builds as well. So we got a lot of cool stuff going on there. I'm gonna remind people. Actually, let me open these two up. I'll drop some links in there as well. If you want to follow along on those things that we can't really share on YouTube or platforms like YouTube, I'm going to drop a couple links there in the comments where you can find some of those other channels with the additional content. There's another one. And then also, I'm going to get caught up here in a bit on the written content as well. All of this 3D printing stuff is going to show up on the written Gear-Report.com website at some point as well. Let's see, other upcoming news, specifically for our friends at Sylvan Arms who are sponsoring. They're kind of filling that overall show sponsor while we sort things out with Maxim, our prior show sponsor. And let's see, but they were our upcoming review sponsor, and we do have some neat stuff coming in. I know AJ just has got an optic showing up from Lead and Steel here shortly. The Strybog 10 millimeter just arrived at Quarter Horse Arms yesterday, so probably this weekend I'll go pick that up and shoot some video with Alan on that. So we've got some stuff coming in post SHOT Show that you'll see showing up, and a whole bunch of videos from SHOT Show that are still in the production queue. They'll show up on those different channels as well. So with that, Colton, thanks so much for being here. Let me put us back on the screen a little bit bigger here. Yeah, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for sharing, and I do apologize to everyone because we stream. We're streaming on a bunch of different places right now, but because one of those is YouTube, I had to ask, let's not show any complete firearms on the screen and get the live nuked. So I appreciate cooperating with that. Although it would have been more fun if we could have seen them fully assembled and walk through them a little bit more in that regard. So, any parting words for us?
No, we appreciate you letting us come on and talk about the platform and kind of try and spread the word about what we're doing.
Yeah. So let's say that we got someone who either the in live or especially in replay, someone watches this and says, "You know what? That is a really neat system. I just got to have one." Is the website, the shop on the web on your website, the place for people to go to find that, or is there any place else they can get it?
Yeah, on our site, and we do sales pretty often around the holidays and around the seasons, so keep an eye out for those. And We do have that as well as an expert voice site as well.
Oh, cool. So let's see. We'll drop that up here so people can see that. It's just the reapweaponries.com with shop
Yep.
behind
Yep.
it to get to that. All right. Excellent. Go check them out if you hadn't seen them before, and if you like bullpups. So I'm going to ask you, Colton, to play along with something we do at the end here. Um, and I'm telling you this because I actually had someone from down the road from you, so I don't want it to be a regional thing where I piss people off. But we had one of our friends from Maxim on a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. At the end, I'm going to say until next time, and then we point at the camera, right? You hold your finger up there by the camera, and I'll say, we'll see you at the range. And at that point, we're holding our finger there until the broadcast ends. And he stopped and he just looked at the camera, just said, dude, I'm not doing that. So I'm just going to tell you, do it if you want to. All right. I'm going to do it. We'll be back next week, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And we don't have anyone lined up for the show next week yet. I got something in the works that may happen. So stay tuned. We may have a guest next week. We may not. But until next time, we'll see you.